I'm being honest when I say that I have no idea how to feel after watching this episode. Despite all of the characters introduced to the series, I feel like the episode offered very little in terms of story, other than Grogu's training. As much as I enjoyed this episode, there is now only one remaining to explore the entire Syndicate War, which I'm worried may be rushed. And while I may be in the minority in this, I often battled between enjoying an Avengers-like episode packed with fan-favorite characters, and maintaining my focus in what often felt like a disjointed story that jumped from place to place. For an episode of a series centered around Boba Fett, he has gotten very little screen time in the past 2 episodes. As great as this episode was, it never had a central focus. Boba and Fennec only briefly appeared, with Din seeming to become the new focus of the series. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved seeing Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane show up, but I've been disappointed with the absence of the series' main characters for back-to-back episodes. I also feel like we've been given very few details on where the series is headed for the final episode. We know a battle between Boba Fett and the Pikes will happen, but there hasn't been any catalyst for the conflict. It doesn't make sense for it to just happen out of nowhere, and as much as I like Cobb Vanth, that attack by Bane isn't big enough in my opinion to start a war. On a much more positive note, I was giddy as soon as I saw Cobb Vanth appear. As much as I want Boba Fett to be in his own show, if he was going to be pushed to the side by anyone, I would want it to be Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane. Cad Bane's look in live action did take a bit of time to get used to, but I think they did an incredible job with it, and he still has the same sinister voice. While I've seen theories going around about it in the past few weeks, I'm so glad that Bane was hired by the Pikes. It makes sense for him to be opposite Boba Fett, and the possibility of a rematch between the two of them excites me. I was one of the many people who did not want Luke and Grogu to appear in this series. I thought that their story would have been a much better fit in The Mandalorian. While I still have these beliefs, I am happy with what we got. I would have preferred if we saw Din just come back to Tatooine in this episode, and everything that takes place beforehand with Ahsoka, Luke, and Grogu would have been included in either The Mandalorian or Ahsoka. But I thoroughly enjoyed the training scenes. As a lifelong fan of Luke, I always love seeing him back on the screen, and it's exciting to get confirmation that he and Ahsoka met and spent time together. He looked much better in this episode compared to his cameo in The Mandalorian Season 2 finale, although his voice and hair did throw me off occasionally. Luke's appearance also allows for other small details to be included while still making sense, my favorites being Yoda's lightsaber and the formation of his Jedi school. The subtle hints of musical themes from The Empire Strikes Back and Luke's training on Dagobah also made the episode that much more enjoyable. After the cliffhanger the episode ended on, I definitely don't think we'll see Grogu again until Season 3. Although I think Grogu's final decision is fairly obvious, Filoni and Lucasfilm will make us sit with that scene for a while. And while I know I've said that I didn't want this story told in the Book of Boba Fett, there are parts of it that fit with the themes of the story. Characters like Boba Fett, Din Djarin, and now Grogu have all had to make the decision to move on, or to go back to the familiar. Boba Fett in this series has been a representation of what Din's life could be. Although he was once a notorious bounty hunter, his years spent with the Tuskens changed his mindset. Now he's left the bounty hunting life behind to create a tribe of his own on Tatooine. Fennec has even stated how bounty hunters don't just get to hang up the armor and walk away from doing other people's jobs. They feel entrapped into the life they have, but walking away is exactly what Boba Fett did. He chose to leave behind his old life and embrace something new, something that offered more than money. Din Djarin, after giving away Grogu, the person that made him become a better man, made the decision to resort back to bounty hunting. He returned to his Mandalorian cult and was adamant about getting another Razor Crest instead of a starfighter. However, he accepted the N1, and in this episode, he accepts that it is best for Grogu if he stays away, knowing that for all the love they have for each other, Din is still a distraction. Although he hasn't been the focal point of the series, we've begun to see Din's transformation into the rightful ruler of Mandalore. In this episode, a major point that Luke makes is that Grogu's heart might just not be into it. Grogu was sent away, almost against his will, because Din thought it was best for him to be trained, but in reality, neither of them truly wanted it. Because of the bond that the two of them formed, Grogu has been unable to fully commit to his Jedi training while being away from Din. This conflict of familiar versus unfamiliar is manifest in the final scene of the episode, where Grogu must decide whether to stay and train with Luke, or to return to Din and whatever life that may lead to. From the desert comes a stranger excels at introducing fan-favorite characters, but a disjointed story lacks a central focus without the series' main characters, earning a grade of 9 out of 10.
Make sure to like, subscribe, follow me on social media, and comment down below what content you'd like to see in the future. As always, thank you all for watching, and remember,
the Force will be with you, always.